By default, form elements look quite plain. Let's give them a modern and clean look with some CSS. First, let's create a new style sheet just for our contact form and link it to our contact form HTML page. Link contact form CSS. Now, let's apply input class to all input fields. And inside our CSS, let's create a class input. And let's add padding 10 pixels, border 0 pixels to remove the default border, border radius 4 pixels for rounded corners. Notice how the border changes when we click on the input. This happens because browsers apply a focus outline automatically. To remove this effect, add outline none. Now, let's make sure our form elements are properly arranged. Apply the form class to the form element. And now let's define it. Class form display flex to automatically adjust elements, and flex direction column to stack elements vertically. Since Flexbox makes child elements take up the full width of the form, our labels and inputs now behave like block elements. We can now safely remove any extra new line tags inside the form. Let's add some interactivity so inputs look better when selected. Class input and then focus pseudoclass. And remember box shadow. Let's set horizontal shadow to 0, vertical shadow to 0, and add 5 pixels blur with a color var heading color. Now, when a user clicks on an input or focuses on it, in other words, it stands out. Let's apply label class to every label element in the form. And let's define this class, label, with a color secondary color, margin, and remember the clockwise notation, so 15 pixels for the top, 0 pixels for both sides, and 5 pixels for bottom margin. Font size small, and then font weight bold. Finally, let's make the submit button match our design. So let's give it a class submit button, and let's define this class with a width 100 pixels, padding 10 pixels, margin top 20 pixels, and let's use align self flex end. The button is inside a flex container, so we can control its alignment. Instead of affecting all elements, we use align self to move only this button to the end of the flex container. Let's also give it border 0 pixels and border radius 4 pixels for rounded corners. And for the background, let's give it a linear gradient, 135 degrees. And let's pick two colors. So the first color, heading color, and then secondary color. And now we have a color gradient. For the text color, let's give it snow, and also font weight bolder. And let's also make the button glow like our inputs when hovered. So we can reuse those styles. Just add a class submit button with a pseudoclass hover after a comma. And now when users hover over the button, it has the same glow effect as the inputs on focus. Great, this is my final design. And you can customize form styles to your liking.